I'm really intrigued by the quality of Indian-made boots that I've seen so far. In particular, two brands that I've looked at, BlkBrd and Craft & Glory. And here is another box from BlkBrd. G'day, welcome back to Bootlosophy. My name is Tech and I'm filming on Wajak country here on what is really a brilliantly beautiful day outside. So this is another unboxing, and this box is from BlkBrd boots in India, BlkBrd. I've actually reviewed their Luchador boots before, and those boots were given to me for review. However, having reviewed them and worn them for a while and decided that the quality was really on par with some English brands at half the price of some of the English brands, I went back into their website and I found this boot called the Rudiger Service Boot in Horween Shell Cordovan in Color 8. At $600 I bought it because that really is one of the more cheapest Shell Cordovan boots that I've seen yet. And I know that they're handmade, so I'm really excited to get into it and have a look and see what they look like. But if you're interested, I'll put a link to the website below, the BlkBrd website, and it is an affiliate link. And I'll get, I think it's something like $6 a boot if you buy it through that link. So let's get into it and start unboxing. One of the things I've found about Asian-made boots is they really take their time and care in packaging their boots. So I kind of have to be a bit careful to try and figure out where the opening points are. Clearly not there. If this takes too long, I might play this on fast forward, but let's see if I can get this open somehow. So, after a bit of a struggle, here is that was the brown box is obviously the shipping box, and here is the original box. As you can see, in gilt lettering, BlkBrd shoe maker, hand welted shoes, handcrafted in India. So I'll tell you about the construction when I do the full review of these boots. But just as a teaser, these are hand-welted boots in the sense that they're put together by hand. And I do believe this is a stitch down anyway, as opposed to a hand welt, which is a manual version of a Goodyear welt construction. So let's open this up. Nice tissue paper covering it. And I found that they did this with the other pair as well. They give you a pair of leather-topped, foam-backed insoles in case you need them. A shoe horn, which I do believe is actually made from cow horn, and you can see where the peak of the cow is, and then they scrape it out to create that shape. That's brilliant. A pair of leather laces. When you see the boots, you'll see why I will explain that I don't think I'm going to use leather laces. I'm going to use some cotton ones. So they come in boot bags, black boot bags, BlkBrd shoemaker, also in gilt. Inside the boot bag, each boot is covered in tissue paper. And there you are. Horween's Shell Cordovan in Color 8. And this is BlkBrd's Rudiger Service Boot, R-U-D-I-G-E-R. My German viewers will know that it's actually a German name. It's in Old High German, and it means famous spear or famous warrior. So if you named your child Rudiger, you know that it has good beginnings. And also, apart from the leather laces, they give you round cotton laces. Now, I think I prefer these to the leather simply because this is such a dressy boot, but I might even change these to flat cotton, wax cotton laces. Let's undo this knot. And the other thing I find about Asian brands is they, rather than stuff a pair of laces in, they'll actually do them up really nicely, tie them at the top, put them through the speed hooks, and so on. I'm very, very excited to get these because these are my second pair of Shell Cordovan boots, the first being the Alden Indie collaboration boot. And, you know, the shell is absolutely brilliant. I think the color is incredible. If you see it in sunlight, it shines so much more. It's just such a beautiful material. But Shell Cordovan, as expensive as it is, could be badly put together, right? And $600 is a steal, but if it's really badly constructed, it is not a steal. You just butchered some really good material. But first glance, really well made, really well put together, very similar to those Luchador boots that I talked to you about. So let's take a closer look. It might need a little bit of a polish and a little bit of a condition, because I'm not quite sure how long this shell has stayed in the factory. If you take a look at the stitching, it's just incredibly fine, that stitch, isn't it? It's double stitch, but so fine. And then a single stitch here, which is a little bit wider, and then edged by this double stitch, which is very, very fine, just like this. So you can see the difference. I mean, that alone is aesthetically really pleasing. Firmly stitched down, single stitch across there. Single piece backstay, nice little service boot look to it. Lovely almond shaped, rounded but almond shaped toe. And you can see it's a double stitch down. Or it might even be a felt shorn, which uses a welt. No, it doesn't use a welt. I was going to say it might be a felt shorn if one of the stitches goes through the uppers, the welt, and the midsole, and then the other stitch goes through to the outsole. But in this case, it's a double stitch down. There is no welt. That you see, that thick part you see is the midsole, and then this thin part is the uppers of the boot flared out and stitched down. One stitch obviously goes through to the midsole. Then this Vibram Eton sole is glued on, and then the second stitch goes through all the layers into a channeled run. I honestly don't understand why people don't bother channeling it. I suppose it takes a little bit of extra time, but it helps to protect that stitch. And I know a lot of people say modern glues are excellent. There's other ways of fixing it. It's perfectly fine. But if you're going to put a stitch through it, and try and protect it. Vibram Eton sole, which is the Vibram version of Day-Night. And the heel is, you can see the Vibram Eton goes all the way through. Heel stack leather. Yep, that's leather. And then topped by a Vibram Eton top lift. Really, really excellent. The website is slightly inaccurate. It talks about a logger heel, but this is clearly not. It's a block heel. And it talks about a different method of construction rather than the stitch down. I think it says it's hand welted, which is a form of Goodyear welting. 4 antique brass eyelets, 3 antique brass speed hooks. And I always do this. I feel for how sticky, scratchy it is, and it is not. All of the hardware is nicely backed and smooth. The tongue, as you can see, is slightly gusseted up to about there. So that's really good. It prevents the tongue slipping, and also a little extra dust and moisture protection. You know, the stitching on this boot is, look at how close that is to the edge. That takes microscopic vision to get it that close. And that's why I think BlkBrd you can think what you like about geography and, you know, made in China's bad and made in India, you know, oh, is filthy place, blah, blah, blah. India has a lot of tradition. It has a cultural history that goes long before the Romans. So don't look down on them. You can see from this that the construction methodology, the craftsmanship is unspeakably good. And this is not a Shell Cordovan tongue, you can see, because it's rough leather. And this is Shell Cordovan because that's the smooth underside of it. I'm trying to get this in the light. Smooth underside of it. Because shell is not leather. It doesn't have a rough outside. Shell is the membrane in the buttocks of a of a horse, and therefore is smooth on both sides. Lovely. Let's take a look at the other boot. Alrighty. Also in a boot bag. Also in tissue. Also laces tied up. Like, you know, real attention to detail in the packaging. The speed hooks feel fairly solid to me as I'm undoing the lace. Take the padding out. And again, it'll need a bit of a brush, but it's flawless. So I intend wearing this as a dress boot. I totally realize that you can wear Shell Cordovan as a casual boot. And I will be wearing this as smart casual. Not so much with jeans, but I think with smart casual gear, like, I'll just do a plug to the Bootlosophy Collection. Go and watch that video, where I choose some smart casual clothing. And I think this would go with that really well. Like, you just imagine woolen pants or nice chinos and a button-up shirt, blazers. This goes really well with that sort of clothing. And once again, looking at detail, the stitching on that is just fabulous, I think. All right, the double row coming through perfectly into the channel. Very crisply molded Vibram Eaton sole. So Horween Shell Cordovan, Vibram Eaton, we're not talking cheap materials here. And again, the stitching, the finish, you know, I really, really think the quality is exceptional. Let's hope the fit is too. Let's get into them. Okay, this is always the moment of truth, isn't it? When you try on a pair of boots that you ordered online. Sizing wise, they ascribe true to size. These are in UK sizes, so true to size 7.5 in their standard width. So let's see, fingers crossed. Oh yeah, perfect. I didn't put these in as comfortable as that might be, because in my Luchador, I had these in and I walked around complaining how tight it was. And somebody on my review said, why don't you take these insoles out? And I went, bugger, why didn't I think of that? And as soon as I took them out, because they are, the footbed or insole is proper leather anyway, proper veg tan leather. Perfect. And I have laced these because I'm going to wear them quite dressily. I've laced them in the leather style, unlike my usual. Ties easily. Speed hooks are easy to get around and behind. The Shell Cordovan, I'll measure everything when I bring you the full review. But the Shell Cordovan doesn't feel particularly stiff. It feels quite supple. Beautiful feel to the hand of it. And they fit perfectly. Excellent. So, first impression, very solidly built. Like, I think the whole midsole and sole construction feels like they're solid. They haven't skimped on the thickness of the insole or the thickness of the midsole. And I do believe that despite it being a stitch down, they do put cork in between the insole and the midsole before they stitch the uppers down. The feeling, the fit is feeling very comfortable. It's totally the right size, totally the right width. And I think the toes, even though to some people they will look quite pointy, really work for me. They don't squeeze my toes in at all. And I have plenty of room. I think I have easily a good thumb's width in front of my longest toe before it gets to the edge. They do need breaking in. And I don't mean by that the uppers are stiff. I think they do need breaking in the sense that you need to get that bend going. And one thing I'm going to have to try, I think, is to get a glass rod or a pen or something and have it across the vamp so that the Shell Cordovan rolls where I want it to roll rather than crease up. And you can see there's some subtle change in color happening as I crease it up, which to me, I think says that the leather might be a little dry. My understanding is they had to wait for the Shell Cordovan before they could make my boots. And so I did have a long wait, which I'll tell you about later in the summary. But that might mean that the Shell Cordovan's a bit dry in between tanning in Horween in Chicago, shipping across to India, and then having them make the boots and then sending them to me. So I am going to put a little bit of Saphir Cordovan cream on them, I think, as soon as I take them off. And then be very careful how I'm encouraging the rolls to form. Yeah, they're comfortable, and I think they look really nice. I think they look really good in a grey suit, with a blue suit, with khaki chinos, with dark blue navy chinos, or even black chinos. They're really nice, and I can't emphasize how lovely this color looks in the full bright sun. All right, let's wind up. So to sum up, the BlkBrd Rudiger boot, true to size. The uppers are Horween's Shell Cordovan in color 8. Terrific materials, I think. A Vibram Eton sole, solid leather heel stack, solid leather midsole, and a really good internal veg tan leather insole. They also give all these extra goodies, which is always good value, particularly this cow horn shoe horn. I think that's really nice. The construction, excellent. The finish and finesse, excellent. Can't go past that. So pros, I got these at $600, thereabouts. Really nice for that value. I guess for the materials that are used, labor is still cheaper in India, and then you leverage that. I can't see anything wrong with these. What are the cons? I think like many Asian brands, whether it's Indian or Indonesian in particular, customer service is not great. They're great. I have experience of Indian business people because I worked in an Indian-owned firm, an accounting firm, back in England in the 70s. They are excellent business people. They know what they're doing, they know what they're making, and they know what they should focus on. However, their front of house skills are perhaps not as well developed. So often I get a lot of comments about people from Craft and Glory and BlkBrd and Indonesian bootmakers not returning emails. And even in my own experience, I was ghosted a couple of times while I was waiting for this. And I had to ask what's happening. Then they told me that they didn't have the Shell Cordovan and they were waiting for it. And then I waited for a while and then asked what was going on. And then they said, oh yes, it will ship by the end of the week, and which didn't, left it a few weeks. What's happening now? Oh yes, it will ship by the end of this week. And eventually I got them. These were made to order, although I think they carry some different models in stock. So just be aware that their customer service is not fantastic. But you know, once you receive the goods, how do you fault this? you kind of have to go through that. But you know what? I think if they want to grow on the international stage, they're going to have to learn to spend a bit of money on people who are outward facing and have them do a really good job. Replying to emails is a must in any kind of industry or profession these days. Email is fast. It's not like in the old days faxing something off and waiting for somebody to type a reply and faxing it back. It's instantaneous. So guys, be good about it. Otherwise, gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. I'm very happy to have this second pair of Shell Cordovans that I've ever had. And personally, I think I'll wear these a lot more than my olden Shell Cordovans, the indie Shell Cordovans. All right, so that's the end of that. I hope you enjoyed this video. Click on like if you did enjoy it, please, and subscribe if you haven't. Wait a few months, I'll wear them in, then I'll do some research and I'll bring you a full review, giving you the full story of the brand and the materials, how it's made, my usual stuff. Stay in touch. In the meantime, you stay safe out there. Take care. See you soon.